Hey everybody, welcome back to the 26th episode of the Huggy Poker Vlog. I'm Huggy, and before we get started, I wanted to show off some new gear I got. I ordered this cool Huggy Poker hoodie, so the back also has the huggypoker.com URL on it. So hopefully, if people see me playing in my hoodie, they'll subscribe to the vlog if they're not already a subscriber, and we'll get some more people joining the community. Today's session takes place at the Lodge in Round Rock, Texas on a Saturday night. We sit down for some 1-2 no limit hold'em and buy in for $200. Let's see how it goes. After sitting down, it's a slow start. We don't get any playable hands for the first 30-some minutes until we pick up Ace-Jack offsuit under the gun. I raised to $10, and a short stack, who busted a couple times and just rebought for $100, re-raises to $30. Not too worried about this player, but the player after him immediately 4-bets to $60. There's no way I'm good here, so I throw my cards into the muck when it folds back to me, and these guys get it all in. The short stack shows Ace-Queen, which had me beat, and the other guy shows pocket aces, so we were way behind. I was excited to have a playable hand, but our fold was good and we saved some money. 15 minutes later, we pick up Queen 8 suited in middle position. Folds to me and I raise to $10. We get 3 callers and we head to a flop of 10-4 Queen Rainbow. When it checks to me, I c-bet for 22 with top pair. Everyone folds and it's a small pot, but I'm happy to take it after sitting around patiently for so long. 20 minutes later, we look down at Ace-7 suited in spades. It folds to me in middle position and I raise to $10. We get 3 calls, and the 4 of us head to the flop of King 7 deuce with 2 hearts. It checks to me, and although I've got second pair, I'm not expecting any king or flush draw to fold given the way this table's been playing, so I opt just to check here. It checks around, and we all head to the turn, which brings the 8 of clubs. So we're downgraded to third pair now, and the second player to act leaves for $15. Given the action and the wet board, there's definitely some hands that are worse than our holding that could bet out here, so I call once to reevaluate on the river. Everyone else folds, and we're heads up now when the river brings the 4 of clubs. My opponent leads out for $40, and I've got to decide if we can call here. The hard draw and the straight draw both missed, but backdoor club draw came in, and there are still 2 cards higher than our pair. All in all, I don't think our hand is good often enough, so I ultimately lay it down. He later tells me for the vlog that he had a set, so if we believe him, our fold was good. Finally, an hour and a half into our session, we pick up a premium hand, Pocket Kings. The under the gun player raises to 12, and although I'd normally raise here, there have been a ton of 3-bets happening at this table, particularly in squeeze opportunities, and I'm anticipating one to happen again if I just call, so I decide to get tricky and do just that. The button takes the bait and raises to 45. It folds back to the initial raiser who folds, and I ship it all in for 149 total. We get insta-called, and...
Where are you
Place once, ace nine.
Once? Just once? Is that right? Yeah.
Similar. Similar but different, right? Ace nine.
So far.
Here comes the 8. Nine, 7, kings are good.
Our opponent shows Ace-Queen, and our hand holds up. After not getting much for almost 2 hours, we finally pick up a hand and double up.
Oh, thanks.
Sneaky, man.
Very
sneaky.
Thanks.
Really good.
Thank you.
10 minutes later, we pick up Ace-10 offsuit in the cutoff. The player on my right, who's pretty inebriated and has been raising way too many hands, opens for $11. I've been waiting for an opportunity to get it in against this opponent since he's been playing so loose, and I expect him to have a very wide range here. I triple his bet, making it $33. The loose 3-better from the last hand cold calls my re-raise from the big blind, and it folds back to the initial raiser. He thinks for a moment before raising it back up, making it 116 total. I'm going to speed this up a bit so you can see how long I think on it, but I'm actually torn on what to do. It's either shove or fold at this point. The question is, did I actually run into an actual hand here, or is he just getting out of line? Finally, I decided to go with it, pushing all in. The third player ends up going all in as well, and the guy on my right does the same. So we're in a 3-way all in, and I'm starting to think I've got the worst of it.
Oh boy. I'm in trouble.
Want to do twice or what?
Whatever, I don't care.
I'll do twice if you guys want.
No, I show my hand once.
Oh, all right,
Once.
all
I show
right.
my hand once.
I'm down for twice too.
He said once. He said
I
once.
show my hand already. So
Yeah.
once.
Yeah.
274 for the main.
Said once?
Yeah, I show my hand already, so we have to do it once. Yeah. In my opinion. That's the way that I do things. Yeah. That's the way that I do it. Yeah. And I made the decision that way. It's once. One time.
You have a pen?
No.
No, I do not.
No, do you?
Shit, we have the same
I do.
hand, huh?
Hey, you have an ace dude, huh?
Oh, you got a queen on queen action or what, baby?
What?
Oh,
queen or jack.
Nope. Yeah.
What do you got?
He's got the jack, right? No, the queen. You got the queen. You gotta have the queen. For the overcall, you got the
Here
queen.
you go. So here is what I meant to give you, a teddy ball game tip. Pre teddy ball game tip.
Oh, love me a free tip. Thank you.
Teddy ball game.
All right.
Teddy ball game.
Should I pull out my money to rebuy now, or? Oh!
Diamond.
Oh, Jack might be good. Jack? Oh, all right. Oh, I got super lucky.
Nice hand, man. Nice
I got super lucky. You played that. You played that sneaky.
It turns out both players had ace king, and we hit our 3-outer for the scoop. Not my finest hour, but I was prepared to rebuy, and it happened to work out for me this time.
Right? I have more ass than them.
I already showed my hand. I don't know what I'm supposed to do.
Player check.
How are we going to roll that?
4 hands later, we pick up ace queen under the gun. I raise it $10, and we get 5 callers, so the 6 of us head to a flop of 8-10 king with 2 spades. The blinds check to me, and given the wide field of players, I check as well. And one of the players behind me opens for $35. It folds back to me, and with my gut shot, overcard, and backdoor nut flush draw, I decide to peel one off. The turn brings the 2 of diamonds, not improving our hand at all, and I'm willing to give up now. I checked our opponent once more, and he ends up checking back, so we get a free river where we spike the jack of clubs, giving us the absolute nuts. Given the action at this point, my hand looks pretty weak, and I think a big bet could easily look like a bluff in an attempt to steal a pot. With that, I make it $75, and we get insta-called.
Got the nuts. Ribbit. Oh. Oh, it's like the worst card for you to come. Oh, sorry, man.
Guess I need to bet the turn, huh?
Well, he had you until that card.
Yeah. Yeah, I fold on the turn. Thanks.
The very next hand, we've got queen jack suited in spades in the big blind. The under the gun player limps, and the next player raises to $12. 3 more players call, I call from the big blind, and the limper calls as well. The small blind and I both check dark, and the 6 of us head to a flop, which comes queen 9-7 with 2 hearts. So we've got top pair on a bit of a wet board. It checks around to the cutoff, who makes it $30. I call, and everyone else folds, so we're heads up to a pretty ideal turn card, which is the queen of diamonds. So we've got trips now, and I'm tempted to bet out, but this opponent looks like he's wanting to bet before he realizes the action's not on him. I check to give him the opportunity, and he leads out again for $25 this time. There are 2 flush draws now, and I want to charge him to get there, so I decide to check raise, making it $130 total. Our opponent's visibly uncomfortable, but eventually he does make the call. The river brings the 3 of clubs, so both flush draws miss, and now I'm just hoping my opponent has a worse queen or another pair he's willing to get it in with. I don't want to check and have him check behind, and the pot's big enough to warrant a shove, so I go all in with our opponent covered for about $225 effective. After a few seconds, our opponent unfortunately folds, but we take down a nice pot.
Thank you.
20 minutes later, we pick up another premium, pocket queens under the gun. I raise it $10 first to act, and we get 5 callers. So the 6 of us head to a pretty scary flop of king 10 jack with 2 spades. We've got second pair with a gut shot. Any king beats us as well as a straight, though we've got 2 blockers for that hand. Despite the wide field, I decide to lead kind of small, enough to fold out some weak holdings that missed while feeling out where we stand. I make it $20, and we surprisingly only get 1 caller. The turn brings the king of diamonds, which is actually one of the best cards we could hope to see on the turn. It makes it less likely we're up against a king, and if someone had a hand like bottom 2 pair on the flop, we're now ahead. I checked my opponent with the intention of calling a bet, and he makes it $50. As planned, I call, and we head to the river, which bricks out with the 2 of hearts. I'm pretty much in check call mode, and I check once more with the intention of calling any bet. It doesn't come to that, as our opponent checks behind, and I show our hand. Our opponent shows queen 6 suited in spades for a flopped combo draw, but thankfully for us, missed everything, and we scoop. More than a half hour later, we've got 4 deuce suited in diamonds in the big blind. Everyone folds the button, who raises it up to $10. The small blind calls, and I decide to join along to defend. And we get a pretty great flop of 4-8 deuce with 2 spades. So we flop bottom 2 pair, and in all likelihood, our hand is going to be good here. We both check to the button, who c-bets for $10. The small blind calls, and I check raise to 50 out of position. Both players end up making the call, so I'm hoping for a clean turn, which we get in the form of the queen of hearts. The small blind checks, and both players have only a little left behind, so I push all in, having them both covered. Just the button calls for his last 143. We show our hands, and our opponent's got pocket aces.
Eight or queen.
You can still hit it. Oh! Sorry, man.
Wow,
Alright.
you are running like fire.
That's a lucky flop for sure.
Nah, but you're crazy showing them.
Rocking the world now.
15 minutes later, the dealer accidentally exposes one of our cards, which would have been an ace, and it turns out we would have had pocket aces. Fuck. Well, we've still got a playable hand, although one of our outs is obviously gone. The under the gun player raises to $5, 2 players call, and I raise a 20 in position. Just the last 2 players make the call, so we're headed to the flop 3-way, which comes 4-10-8 with 2 hearts. We don't flop much other than some backdoors, but I decide to c-bet when they check to me regardless, making it $30. Just one of our opponents makes the call, so we're heads up to the turn, which is the 5 of diamonds, not improving our hand in the slightest. I'm giving up at this point unless things change on the river, so when our opponent checks to us, I opt just to check back. The river brings the jack of spades, so we don't catch anything, and when our opponent leads for 50, I'm just crying on the inside about the misdeal before laying our hand down.
You guys will never guess what my other card was.
Just 2 hands later, we've got Queen 4 suited and clubs in the cutoff. It folds to the player on my right, who's been raising quite a bit, making it $15. I make a loose call, mostly just because of how active this player's been. The button calls as well, so the 3 of us head to the flop, which comes 3 queen jack with 2 hearts. Not a bad flop for us hitting top pair, though I am concerned that we could have a kicker problem against a better queen. The pre-flop raiser checks, so I open for 20, hoping that our pair is best. The 3rd player folds, and the original raiser calls, so we're heads up to the turn, which brings the 6 of diamonds. This shouldn't change anything, but when our opponent checks again, I just don't know enough about this player, and I don't want to be value owning myself, so I go ahead and check back. We see a free river in the form of the 9 of clubs. It's not the best river since some straights get there, but the flush misses, and when our opponent checks for a 3rd time, I feel like we can get some thin value here. I put out a small bet of $25 hoping for a call, which we do end up getting. I show our hand, and it's good.
Same at Jack 3.
Fold the king 10.
Thank you.
10 minutes later, we pick up ace-king offsuit on the button. There's 2 limps, and I raise to 16. Just the limper's call, so the 3 of us head to a flop of 4 jack 4 with 2 spades. Both players check to me, and this is a pretty good board to c-bet. If neither of them hit the jack, we might just take it down. I make it $25, and after some thinking, both players fold, and we do take it down. The very next hand, we've got 9-5 suited in clubs in the cutoff. The player to my right raises yet again to $12, and I call for the same reason as before. Everyone else folds, so we're heads up to a flop of 4-7-3 rainbow. This flop is typically better for our range, though our opponent has been a bit loose, so I'm less inclined to believe that as much as I would against other players. For that reason, when he checks to us, I decide to check back rather than betting in position. The turn brings the 10 of hearts, not improving our hand. He checks again, and now I decide to bet for 20, hoping for a fold. Unfortunately, we get a call, so we're hoping to improve on the river. Sadly, that doesn't happen when the river brings the 8 of hearts. He checks a 3rd time, and given his weak line coupled with the coordinated board, I decide to make what should hopefully look like a value bet, making it $30. After thinking for a solid 30 seconds, our opponent eventually calls.
You're good. Nice hand.
2 hands later, we've got ace-8 suited in spades in the +2 position. There's 2 limps, and I raise to 15. It folds back to the same player on my right, who's the only caller, and once again we're heads up to the flop, which comes 5-5-10 rainbow. Similar to our ace-king hand earlier, if he didn't hit the 10, I imagine we're usually going to be ahead, and when he checks to me, I c-bet for 16. He makes the call, which I'm not surprised to see from this guy, and we head to a turn of the 10 of spades. If we were ahead on the flop, we're still ahead on the turn, though we're chopping with any ace now. He checks again, and we're not getting any better hands to fold, so I check this one back. The river brings the ace of hearts, so we hit a pair, and when our opponent checks for a 3rd time, I've got no reason to assume he's hit the board. I bet for value, making it $30, the exact same bet I made when he called me down with ace high before. Unfortunately, he lays it down, but I'm happy to take the pot. The very next hand, we've got ace-9 offsuit in the +1 position. There's 1 limp, and I raise to $10. Just the big blind and the limper call, and the 3 of us head to the flop, which comes jack-deuce-5 rainbow. We miss completely, and when it checks to me, I decide to take a free card, checking back. The turn brings the 9 of clubs, and now one of the limpers leads into us for $15. I make the call since we picked up 2nd pair, and the 3rd player folds, so we're heads up to a river of the jack of spades. This is a pretty good card since there's less of a chance of our opponent holding a jack. However, that doesn't stop us from leading into us once more for $25. I quickly call, and our opponent shows ace-10 for ace high, and our pair is good. We're pretty card dead before this next hand, only picking up one more hand in the next 2 hours. We've got pocket nines on the button. The player to my right raises to $10 and I 3-bet to 35. Just the original razor calls, so we're heads up to the flop with the same opponent again, which comes 7 jack ace all clubs. This is not a pretty flop for our hand, although we do have the 9 of clubs, so when our opponent checks, I'm happy to check this one back. The turn brings the queen of diamonds. This board's getting uglier by the second. I'm just hoping to get to showdown now, and again the action goes check check. The river brings the 7 of spades, and once again we both check. I show my 9s and they're good. I'm happy to take one last win before the end of the night.
Thank you.
Following our biggest win ever, we had another great session. We admittedly got lucky with the ace-10 hand halfway through the night, but it resulted in a 4-figure win. So we bought in for $200, cashed out for $1,577. After the membership renewal and the hourly rate, that gives us a profit of $1,309. So our bankroll is sitting at a little over 13.3K, which, given that the end of year goal was to hit 25K from a 10K starting bankroll at the beginning of the year, we're already 22% towards our yearly goal in January, and the month's not even over. Obviously, it could change with variance, but I'm feeling pretty optimistic at this point. Before we go, at the time this video comes out, tomorrow is the biggest meetup game in Texas at the Lodge, so I'm really looking forward to that. There's going to be a lot of people there. Hope you're going to be there. Should be a lot of vloggers as well, so nice, fun people to meet. But yeah, it's going to be a good time either way. Looking forward to it. Either way, thanks for watching. Hit the like button, subscribe if you haven't already, and leave a comment, and we'll see you on the next one. Take care.